The views and opinions expressed on More Peace, Please are those of the host and her guest. The information presented is strictly for general information purposes only.
It's impossible to truly be a positive person to the core of your being without accepting your darkness, without accepting the darkness that exists in the world and learning how to coexist and balance that darkness within you. It is not a complete erasure of the negativity. It's not a complete erasure of the sadness, the depression, the anxiety. It's not an erasure of that. It's learning how to find positivity in spite of that.
Welcome to More Peace, Please, because sometimes we just have to ask for more peace. Please. On this podcast, my guests and I will discuss different ways to access peace, while also acknowledging how difficult peace can be to obtain and maintain. I am your host, Dominique Davis, also known as Brown and Bindi, trauma-informed yoga teacher and practitioner, weekend musician, and content creator. Welcome to my little corner of the internet. We're all friends here, so kick off your shoes, relax your feet, and let's just see if we can ask for a little more peace. Please.
Hello, hello, hello. Can you believe we have made it to the season 1 finale? My gosh. Okay, I'm getting ahead of myself. Welcome to More Peace, Please. My name is Dominique Davis, also known as Brown and Bindi, and I am your host. And this is episode 13, the season finale of the first season of More Peace, Please. I could hardly believe it. Before I get into anything, I want to say thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you to each and every one of you who have tuned in to listen. There are a lot of you who have been on my YouTube channel since I was a young, confused college graduate in my early 20s and just hopped on to a camera and started making makeup videos and occasional social commentary. And you have followed me all the way to this point, to the very end of the first season of one of my truest labors of love, More Peace, Please. And to those of you who have been walking on this path with me, I want to say thank you. To those of you who maybe found me during the pandemic and are still walking with me, I want to say thank you. And to those of you who are very new to me and are still trying to understand what this crazy girl is all about, I still want to say thank you, thank you, thank you, because I do not take your time. I do not take your trust, your attention, or your energy for granted. You do not have to be here listening, yet here you are. So I just want to let you know that I am so grateful. And it is because of you and your viewership that I continue to make content, that I continue showing up, because I could very easily just make art for myself and just enjoy it myself. But your viewership makes me want to share. So thank you. Goodness gracious, so much has transpired since I originally came up with the concept for More Peace, Please. Originally, I was going to create this podcast while maintaining a full-time job. A year ago, as I mentioned in episode 1, I was working in insurance, and I really thought that insurance was going to be my full-time thing. This was after I decided to stop creating content because at that time, I truly believed that that was the end of my content creation road and that it was time for me to get a quote unquote normal job. Maybe I will make a YouTube video about this because it is just so interesting what happens to an individual when they stop dreaming. At that point, I was so tired. I was so tired of just trying to make content and trying to show up as my authentic self, but feeling like my viewers were constantly disappointed in me because I didn't want to talk about the law of attraction anymore. And that people pleasing part of me just shut down and I wanted to run away. So I said, it's not for me anymore. Getting on a platform and sharing myself, it's not for me because I'm going to just end up getting hurt. So I stopped making content. and I started to work in insurance. And here's the thing, when God creates you a certain way, you can't outrun it. You can't outrun it, no matter how hurt your feelings are, no matter what your emotions are doing. When God built you a certain way, those pieces are functional, no matter how much you wish they didn't function. So little by little, slowly, my mind was like, well, maybe I could start a podcast. Maybe I can work full time and start a podcast. And originally, I was going to be a full time insurance agent while also having a podcast. And I was going to call this podcast Insure Your Peace because I love a catchy title. I do. But time went on. I found myself consistently overwhelmed with insurance, not feeling good at what I was doing, not feeling good about the industry because there are a lot of really icky things that happen within insurance. And there are a lot of good people who work for insurance companies who have to uphold not great rules that are not for the benefit of the customer, but are for the benefit of the insurance company because they're a business and they have to run. So I was my moral compass was consistently like, hey, this is not it. This is not it. And eventually, after I lost someone so close to me, I realized that this isn't it. And sometimes it takes something groundbreaking and life changing to really pull you out of your circumstances and allow you to see things from a higher perspective and to say, oh, I'm here because I'm scared. And that's okay, but I don't have to be scared anymore. So what would I be doing if I wasn't scared? You know? So Insure Your Peace was put away. I had all these ideas for it, but when I decided that it wasn't going to be insurance anymore, I was like, well, we're not insuring anything. This pun is no longer a pun. So it became More Peace, Please, because I knew that no matter what, the foundation of the podcast was going to be teaching others how to find peace within themselves and also how to identify with the peace of others, because that's ultimately what's going to bring us together, helping others see how our brothers and sisters on this blue marble identify with peace, because then we can start to identify with each other. So that was my intention with More Peace, Please. I want to talk about redefining positive thinking. Now, when I first dug my heels into creating content, positive thinking was the foundation of my content. Law of attraction, which changed my life. The philosophy of the law of attraction changed me. I fully believe that the phase of life I went through was intentional and I was supposed to go through it because I did not know how to be a positive person. I did not know how to take a bunch of lemons and make lemonade. And positivity is the only way to be the cream that rises to the top. That is it. Positivity is the only way to identify and be able to understand higher vibrational perspectives. I fully still to this day believe in vibration. And I believe in positivity being the higher vibration that brings us closer to God, and negativity being the lower vibration that brings us further away from God. And I want to be as close to God as I can get in this earthly body. So positivity is it. That being said, positive thinking often gets misunderstood or misused. And that comes in the form of toxic positivity and spiritual bypassing. And ultimately, that is why I have backed away from law of attraction content, motivational content, and I've allowed myself to fully fall into becoming a social worker, going to school for social work, because I never want to be a part of the problem. I never want someone to watch content that is about positive thinking or being positive and to think, I can't do it. Something's wrong with me. It's impossible to truly be a positive person to the core of your being without accepting your darkness, without accepting the darkness that exists in the world and learning how to coexist and balance that darkness within you. It is not a complete erasure of the negativity. It's not a complete erasure of the sadness, the depression, the anxiety. It's not an erasure of that. It's learning how to find positivity in spite of that. So I've always been very passionate about understanding trauma and understanding why we are the way that we are. And when you're able to balance the dark and the light, that's when you get a full picture. You never want to look at one side of the picture. You never want to look to the left and only see half the picture, half of the experience, the darkness, the sadness, the anger, the hurt. But you never want to do a drastic look to the right either and see the just abundance and happiness and all of the things that we often see on social media, because that's a lot of what social media is. It's this cookie cutter picture of what we think all the positive is without any of the reality, any of the grit, any of the truth that is the balance. So when it comes to positivity, let's talk about how real positivity means honesty. It means maturation, maturing to the point where your heart can expand enough to hold space for what hurts and still allow beauty to exist. It's choosing hope, it's choosing clarity and perspective through hardship. You can't go around, you can't go under, you can't go over. You got to go through. Positive thinking is a tool for nervous system regulation. When I first started my YouTube channel, I was a mess. I was barely functioning. And if I say that I'm functioning, or if I say that I was functioning, that was using the word functioning very loosely. Okay. From the outside looking in, yeah, maybe you thought I was just a girl who was kind of rough around the edges and unpredictable, but on the inside, I was hurting. I lived in rumination. I lived in consistently replaying the scariest parts of my life. I lived in low self-esteem and low self-worth and constant tears and constant states of fight or flight. I was overwhelmed by the smallest things because my mind lived in a place where it was controlled by the left side of the picture. It was controlled by the darkness. And by learning that there is light, I was able to start understanding that maybe, just maybe, I am safe. And that's the beginning of learning how to start looking from the far left of the picture, the darkness, the anger, the sadness, and bringing your perspective to the center. Understanding that there is a safety that exists for you. And whether you find that safety in Jesus, or whether you find that safety in the understanding that there is a higher power that put you here and made you perfectly, wherever you find that safety, you have to know that it is real. And that is not something that you hear me say right now. If you've never believed it before, hearing me say that right now, you can want to believe it, but it takes trusting and teaching your body how to trust, which takes time and experience. But what is so beautiful and what can make me cry is that when you do say, hey, I want to believe, hey, I want to trust that I am safe, I want to believe it. If you just put that out, it will come back and you will learn how to look for the safety. You will learn how to lean in to the safety. And the more your mind and the more your body starts to perceive the safety, the more you learn how to breathe deeply, because that state of fight or flight starts to melt. It was a very, very long journey for me. It was a very long journey from where I started to where I am now. And I am not done. I won't be done until the day I'm at the pearly gates. Okay. I'm not done. But
every bit of growth felt like a 200-pound rock being taken off my chest. I'm not in a rush to be done, but every bit of evolution, every bit of understanding that I was given, it felt like fully being free at the time. We have to allow ourselves to go step by step. We don't have to completely end game. I am still a master manifester, but I don't manifest for myself. I don't manifest to try to get to the end. I don't manifest to try to get the things. I talk to God and I understand how I can heal and I can find my joy, because I know that if my cup is overflowing, what I have flows into the cups of other people. Once you have true positivity within yourself, you can't help but share it. You can't help but want others to feel the same level of true elation that you feel. I don't know if elation's a word, but we're rocking with it. We're rolling with it. And I think that even at the beginning of my content creation journey, I had a taste of what positivity could do for me, and I was ready to share it. And that has grown over all these years. And the privilege to continue growing in this pursuit of peace, this pursuit of positive thinking, this pursuit of optimism with you. My God, how blessed am I? A lot of that shift from the darkness to the center of the picture was a reframing process, learning how to listen to my thoughts. Remember, we used to talk about that a lot. If you are from the YouTube, we used to talk about listening to our thoughts quite a bit, learning how to observe. And that's where breath work and meditation come in. That's where learning how to slow down enough to hear what's going on starts to transform the mind. Now, talking about trauma, talking about those of us who have very intense emotional responses to slowing down, it's not going to be as easy as just, I'm going to do some deep breathing, right? Because we start to have physical reactions to that. So I just want to make sure I'm very clear that for all of us, it's not that easy to just listen to our thoughts. It's a process. In the process of learning how to reframe our thoughts, we start to get into the driver's seat of our experience. So wherever you are, learning how to observe. For some of us, it is going to be as easy as sitting and breathing and listening to the inner dialogue. For some of us, it's going to take going through life and seeing when we do something, say something, or invite something into our experience that does not serve us, and then taking a moment to reflect and say, how did I get here? A lot of times, how did I get here is the first step to learning how to listen to those thoughts. That's the first step. Learning to journal questions like, what am I learning from this? Or what can I be hopeful for right now? Getting to know yourself in truth. A lot of times, especially with the toxic positivity, we have a mask on and we are attempting to be the person that people want to see, attempting to show up as the person that we know will keep us safe. If we keep everyone pleased, if we keep everyone happy, that means I will never have to experience what I experienced before. So learning how to separate yourself from the people pleaser, from the person wearing the mask, and understanding who you truly are. And sometimes that's not a fun process. Sometimes we're really mean. Sometimes we're really angry and selfish. Sometimes we are very closed-minded. Sometimes we're prejudiced. Sometimes we're homophobic. Sometimes we're sexist. Sometimes we are not cool people. But the process of learning who we are gives us the ability to change it. Because when we hear those thoughts and when we learn how we truly think, we're able to intentionally say, is this positive? Is this positive to me? Is this who I want to be? Positive thinking isn't always loud or bold. It's often quiet, faithful, and consistent. That's the beautiful thing about retraining your mind. That's the beautiful thing about dedicating yourself to the positivity. The more you show up for it, oh God, it starts to show up for you. Praise your name. It starts to show up for you. It carries you. It'll carry you. But
Only if you allow yourself to be free of the chains, be free of the heavy thinking that grounds us in our past. So much of our heaviness, so much of our pain and our unworthiness is a reflection of what other people did to us. And it happened a long time ago. And maybe it didn't happen a long time ago. Maybe for you, you're like, it happened last week. But some of us, because of what happened to us a long time ago, we search for that same situation in different people, wearing different clothes, with different faces. We look for the same situation with different individuals because that's the life that we lived when we were younger. And that's the life we're comfortable with living. And those are the clutches, right? Those are the clutches of the heaviness. So once we learn how to accept that there is a brighter light that wants us, that loves us, and is asking us, come home. Once we learn how to lean into that positivity, lean into, I am loved and I can love others. And maybe that's all life is about. Once we learn how to do that, it starts to show up for you. Oh, and that's all I want for anybody on this earth. I'm so proud of how far we've all come the past 15 weeks. This is episode 13, but we took a 2-week break. So the past 15 weeks, I would love if you could share with me your growth, whether that's a comment in the YouTube video, or if you would like to email me. In what ways have you shifted towards the light? In what ways have you allowed your heart to release the darkness so that you can shift more towards the positivity in a balanced, authentic, genuine way? I want to know. Email me, brownandvindy@gmail.com. I care. I care about your path. And remember that as you go through life, you can always say to yourself, there is an abundance of beauty in my life. That is one of my personal affirmations, especially when things are heavy. There is an abundance of beauty in my life. There is an abundance of beauty in my life because that will always be true. There's nothing that could happen that would make that not true. Nothing. As long as the sun is shining, as long as there are birds chirping outside of my window, there will be an abundance of beauty in my life because to be alive is to be beautiful. To be alive is to experience beauty. There is an abundance of beauty in my life. There is an abundance of beauty in my life. If you are dealing with financial stress, there is an abundance of beauty in my life. If you are dealing with social situations, there is an abundance of beauty in my life. No matter what you are dealing with, there is an abundance of beauty in my life. Search for it, fight for it, and it will start to fight for you. That's all I got. That's all I got. More peace, please, baby. Let's get it. Let's go. More peace, please. That's the end of season 1. Thank you so much. If you have not listened to past episodes, I invite you to do so. I am going to take a couple weeks off from the podcast, and then I'm going to start sending out emails, getting guests together for the next season. If you would like to be a guest, go ahead and email me, and don't just email me and say I want to be a guest. Email me with a bio, shoddy. Tell me what you're up to. Tell me what you do, and tell me what peace means to you, and we can talk about it. I'm going to be getting ready for season 2, sending out emails for potential guests. I am so very excited. If you have not listened to those past episodes, make sure you go ahead and do that. Also, Brown Girls Heal. By the time this episode comes out, the first Brown Girls Heal will be in the books, but it's a monthly offering. So go ahead and sign up for it so we can heal together. Yeah. Thank you so much for being a part of this community. I appreciate you. I love you as much as I can in this parasocial way. And I am so grateful for you as an individual. If you were the only person, the one to show up and listen, that would be enough. Thank you so much. And as always, you guys, remember, you can always ask yourself, for more peace. Please. I'll see you next season. Bye.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode of More Peace, Please. I do hope that you enjoyed it. Want to keep up with me? Well, that's a coincidence. I want to keep up with you too, boo. Best way to stay in the know is to follow me on Substack at Brown and Bindi. You can find me under the same handle on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, and Snapchat. Until next time, remember to seek more peace, please.